Hello, my name is Eli Missing. This is my week 2 submission for the interview assignment at Tulsa Community College. Today I'm here with my dad, Alistair Missing. He is an RN, a registered nurse. He is what I'd probably qualify as an evangelist. He's done a lot of ministry in many areas, and I just wanted to interview him today. You can say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so I wanted three big questions that I want to ask is kind of what is your general life testimony, just in a brief form, and then what jobs leadership roles did you have before this? How did you get here, and what how did your faith play into all of this? So I'll just ask you, the first one is your just general testimony.
Well, they kind of all wrapped up, so I can kind of answer them all together in one story. I was a missionary back home in Africa, and I felt that when I was preaching, I just had a heart that I wanted to preach. I wanted to minister to people. But I found that there was a cultural language barrier between me and the people I was ministering to. But I recognized that medicine was a tool that allowed you to get into personal space where people really needed most. They became vulnerable. They became open to being ministered to. I felt when I was preaching, I felt that I was never relating to them. I was never connecting with them. I was the preacher. They were the parishioner, if you could say it that way. And they would sit there, and you were the white guy coming into the community. You were different from them, so never let you in. Then I decided, look, I just really enjoyed, I want to be closer, and I discovered medicine. I found the tool of caring to people at a vulnerable, open area allowed me that bridge, that they would get more personal, they would divulge more information. I felt that my interaction was more real, and I could minister to their hearts, is bringing the gospel.
Yeah, wow, that makes a lot of sense, just because they're kind of in a position where you're taking care of them, and they kind of they have more of an obligation to listen to what you have to say, because you're holding a life, and they're many times close to death. So yeah, that's really cool. What would you say to those struggling to find their calling in life? Just seeing how you found yours.
It's one of the things I never really searched for. I never planned on becoming a nurse. I never planned on being in medicine. In fact, it was I wanted to. I felt like I had a gift for ministering to people, interacting with people. I just really felt used in that way quite a bit. I never sought medicine as being a tool or a vehicle to that end. I just tried it out. It was just, there was a small semester of a kind of a general health program. It was a kind of a first aid program that I did, and I fell in love with it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I really excelled at it. So I continued further and further, and I still enjoy it. It's still a passion being at somebody at their most vulnerable need, to be at a bedside or to welcome them in a trauma bay in the emergency room, to be that place of touch. God puts you in situations where you might get angry, you might get frustrated, but you also might think I might be going into an avenue that I didn't realize that I would have been good at or enjoyed. It was something I never thought, but I was put in that situation. I went up there to be a missionary. I was actually going to join YWAM, and none of that happened, except I came across something that I found to be exciting, rewarding, and it's nothing I particularly aim for. It just happened. I think just have the courage to do something that comes along your way, that you might think, you know what, I wouldn't have thought that I would have been called to this or that. But these doors are opening, and I'm kind of really enjoying it. God's always He's not going to give you something you're not blessed at doing. He's not going to give me something that I don't enjoy doing. That's not going to be a calling on your life.
Right. Yeah.
Your calling is going to be consistent with the gifts and your joys and the way He designed and fabricated and made you from the ground up.
Yeah. And He can mold your heart to love something that you might have not loved beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. What do you think some of the most memorable moments are in your career and just in ministry in general? Just like some of that big highlights that you can remember being with somebody.
I got many, but I think the times where I've had somebody who had lost, this was a special story to me, had lost their family, had lost respect in family. She was a long-term alcoholic. Everyone knew her was somebody who was behind being in alcohol. She told me, she confided me, she says she remembers a brief season of her life for about 3 months of sobriety, that she can remember as far back as she can go, into her 20s when she started drinking. When I met her, she was in her 70s. So she's always had an issue. The family had disowned her. The family had drawn the last straw. They tried everything with rehab process with her. And I think God kind of gave me the way to speak directly into that situation. I didn't really know what was going on, but I felt that what she was telling me wasn't adding up. I did some more investigating, and I found that she had this trouble at home. I got some background information, and I pursued it, and I confronted with her. And in that confrontation, she seemed to kind of break down. She pushed me aside. I didn't let her go. I kept at it. And she broke down and just divulged a lot of personal struggle. I then got her daughters and her family involved, reached out to them. They came along after kind of a long road of me speaking to them through her. They did respond more and more, and her last days were filled with, she got sick. I think she was end-stage liver disease, and her last days were filled with family and friends, people that now she restored those relationships. She stopped her drinking, but stopping drinking at that point would have healed her, but it was enough to say to the family, you're important for me enough to have a walk of sobriety for these next few months of my life, and I'm going to honor you by being sober. So that to me was a special encounter.
That's really, really neat. That's just that she would do that for her family and want to, because it's her last stage of life. Is there any other times that you think you could remember, or is any?
Well, there's a number of highlights. I remember being in Africa, and the ladies over there literally would come, being dropped off. Some of them couldn't walk, being dropped off in a wheelbarrow, and get onto the gurney, have baby, and then immediately go into, we had like a recovery area that was reserved for, I think they were allowed to stay for about 2 hours, and then they had to walk home the same day with their new child and the placenta in the other hand in a grocery bag. And I remember at one point, just a couple of ladies were just laboring, and I went and made them some tea and sat with them. They've never had that interaction ever, and that was really a special moment for me, and to journey with, I think it was 2 women, just over a cup of tea and being there for them, just to demonstrate, there is somebody who's here. It was difficult because I'm being male and everything, but they weren't given the time of the day for the other. And there was another guy later on in life. He'd injured himself and fell from a roof. He had taken some some stuff that he shouldn't have, and so he was in the right state of mind. But he fell from a roof. He was a roofer, and he fell and he broke his back. He became a paraplegic. Young guy, devastated. And him and I became really good friends. He was down one day. It was one of his last days of leaving. And to that, for a spinal cord injury patient, it's daunting because you now have to be home and be by yourself and get up, find your own resources, someone's going to help take care of you when you get home, stuff that you haven't developed yet. And he was getting down. So we went in there and I did we had syringes. The boys carry a syringe around. I squirted him with the water, and I don't know what I did with his drink, but it tasted gross. And then we were just joking around, and I put him into his hospital bed. We disconnected the hospital bed, and it was pouring in rain that day. Oh, gosh. So we pulled him down the hospital bed, and we took his bed outside with him on it into the parking lot. A bunch of us, and just rode around the parking lot in the pouring rain, and came back. And his answer to me, he says, "You have made my day. Thank you so much for spending the time and making me feel validated, heard, and just being a friend." So those were just a couple of highlights that I've had in my career.
Wow. I don't think you've told me about have you told me about that one?
I don't know.
That one, that's really, really cool. That'd be an amazing last day, or one of the last days. Man, yeah, I'm definitely gonna probably re-listen to this as well, just because I like the stories. Do you have anything else that you would like to add for others to take away? Just, if somebody listening to this interview, just something to give them as they shut this off and as they walk into their week and walk back to the job.
I would say that whatever you do excellently. Do as you serving at the Master's feet, as you're in right there before him. Work is sacred. We all have different callings. We're all built different. We have different gifts, different talents. Allow opportunity for, I think, God to open your door to something that you might feel uncomfortable doing, but yet it might be the very thing that you didn't think that you'd be good at. And allow that to happen. And I'm absolutely, I'm indebted to him for bringing me through this journey that I just really thoroughly enjoy my job. I love what I do. I've been doing it for almost 20 years. And it's something I never thought. I think we know God is sovereign. He knows your name. He knows where you're at. You're not an accident where you just, which one is this one? I don't know this one. I don't have a plan for them. Every one of us has been fashioned uniquely. And God is ultimately, in Genesis, says he's happy with his creation. He's happy the way he designed you. So whatever you do, just do it excellently. And don't shut the book and says, well, I don't really like doing that, or I don't like going there, or I don't like that person, or that's not for me. Be open because that might be the place that you receive just a great blessing and walking to an avenue you wouldn't think you would be in.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing to live by. Actually, Gabriel and I, my friend, we like to talk about just being excellent in general a lot, and just doing the best with what you have, even if you don't have a lot. It's something that stuck with me. Thank you, Dad.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right.
Enjoy.